You want to succeed, but distractions are everywhere. You want to focus, but every time you try, something pulls you away. Here's the truth. You're not weak. You're not lazy. You're just unfocused. And that is the silent killer of every dream, every goal, every success. The most successful people in the world have one thing in common: laser-sharp focus. In this audiobook, we'll teach you the mental toughness to build that focus and never lose sight of your goals again. Focus like a warrior. It's time to block out the noise. It's time to get things done. Chapter 1. The Power of Single Tasking. Mastering the art of deep focus. You've been lied to. You've been told you can multitask. You've been told it's the key to getting more done in less time. But it's a lie. Multitasking is a distraction, and it's time you realize the truth. Multitasking fragments your focus. It splits your attention. It doesn't make you more productive. In fact, it does the exact opposite. Multitasking is like trying to drive in 5 different directions at once. You can't go anywhere. You're stuck. You get nowhere fast. You have a choice. You can keep chasing the illusion of doing it all, or you can learn the power of single tasking. And single tasking is where the real magic happens. Single tasking is laser focus. Single tasking is what will propel you forward. The myth of multitasking. The problem with multitasking is simple. Your brain isn't designed to do multiple things at once. When you try, you switch between tasks rapidly, but you're never truly focused on one thing. Every time you shift gears, your brain needs to readjust. You waste time. You waste energy. Your productivity suffers. Think about it. Have you ever tried responding to emails while attending a meeting or writing while watching TV? How did that go? Did you give each task your full attention? Probably not. One task gets less of you, and that's a problem. You may feel productive, but your work suffers. You're not giving 100% to any one thing, and as a result, everything falls short. You're constantly switching, constantly reacting. That's no way to move forward. Let's make this clear. The myth of multitasking needs to end. Stop pretending you can do everything at once. You can't. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner you'll achieve real success. That's the key. Focus on one thing at a time. You can't do everything, but you can do one thing well. And doing that one thing well is more valuable than juggling multiple things badly. The science of single tasking. Here's where the science backs us up. Studies show that when you focus on one task at a time, you're exponentially more efficient. You increase your chances of success by dedicating your full attention. The more you concentrate on one thing, the better you perform. It's not just about getting things done, it's about getting them done well. Think about a top athlete. Can a runner train by running a race and doing yoga and lifting weights at the same time? Of course not. They train one thing at a time. They focus on perfecting one skill before moving on to the next. Focused practice makes them great. The same principle applies to you. When you master the art of single tasking, you're not just working faster, you're working smarter. You're channeling all your energy into one thing, and that thing gets your best effort. That's the key. It's not about doing more things. It's about doing fewer things with more attention and intensity. You don't need to be busy. You need to be effective. Let's talk numbers. Research shows that switching between tasks can reduce your productivity by up to 40%. 40%! Think about all the time you've wasted because your attention was split. You could have spent that time focused on your true goals, advancing towards success with full commitment. Real-world application. Prioritize one task. Here's the truth. If you want to be productive, if you want to make significant progress in your life, you need to prioritize. Focus on one task. Block out distractions. Commit fully. And complete it before moving on. No excuses. The next time you start a project, make a rule. You are not allowed to start something new until you finish this task. That's it. Don't check your phone. Don't answer emails. Don't look at social media. Block out the noise. Give your full attention to one thing. When you give your undivided attention to one task, it feels different. Your mind clears. You become more efficient. You find solutions faster. Your performance improves. Real-world example. Look at any high achiever, whether it's a CEO, an athlete, or a successful entrepreneur. They all have one thing in common. They don't juggle. They focus. Every successful person has mastered single tasking. They focus on one project, one decision, one task at a time, giving it their full energy. That's the key. If you're feeling overwhelmed, it's not because you're doing too much. It's because you're trying to do everything at once. Single task. Block distractions. Be present. Focus on what matters. How to master single tasking. Prioritize ruthlessly. Write down the 3 most important things you need to achieve today. Do only those. Nothing else matters. Block out time. Set specific times in your day for focused work. Use a timer if you have to. Eliminate all distractions during that time. Start small. If you're used to multitasking, start by focusing on one task for 20 minutes. Then gradually extend your focus time. Build your focus muscle. When you give yourself permission to focus on one thing at a time, everything shifts. Your productivity, your success, your ability to crush goals, it all improves. That's the key. Focus on one thing, and you'll accomplish more than you ever imagined. Chapter 2. Discipline over motivation. Why motivation will never save you. Let me tell you something you need to hear. Motivation will fail you. You know it. You've felt it. That burst of excitement when you start something new. The thrill of a fresh idea, or the energy you feel on the first day of a new goal. But where is that energy 2 weeks later? Where is it when the work gets tough? Motivation fades. It's unreliable. And it's the reason why so many people fail to achieve their goals. But here's the truth. You don't need motivation. You need discipline. The truth about motivation. Motivation is overrated. It's the spark that lights the fire. But what happens when the spark fades? What happens when that initial excitement is gone? Without discipline, your fire dies out. And without that fire, you're left in the dark, sitting idle, waiting for the next burst of motivation to come. That's the problem. Motivation comes and goes. It's an emotional state, something that can be influenced by external factors. Your mood, the weather, how you slept. You can't rely on something that fluctuates. And most people do. They wait for motivation to show up before they take action. They say, "I'll start tomorrow, when I feel like it." But tomorrow never comes. Motivation doesn't last. But discipline? Discipline is a daily choice. Discipline is what pushes you to take action even when you don't feel like it. Discipline is the true engine behind success. That's the key. It's not about waiting for motivation. It's about committing to discipline. It's about doing what needs to be done, regardless of how you feel. The power of discipline is the consistent application of effort, regardless of external circumstances. It's not glamorous. It's not sexy. But it's effective. Discipline isn't a nice-to-have, it's a must-have. Without discipline, you're just drifting from task to task, hoping that motivation will come and magically get you back on track. But hope is not a strategy, and success doesn't happen on hope. Think about the most successful people you know. Are they always motivated? No. They don't wait for the feeling to show up. They work regardless. They have routines. They have habits. They do what needs to be done, even when they don't want to. That's discipline, and it's the only thing that leads to long-term success. That's the key. Discipline doesn't need to be earned every day. It's something you commit to. You get up, you show up, you do the work, and that's how you keep moving forward. How to build discipline. Now that you understand the power of discipline, the question is, how do you build it? How do you develop the mental toughness to keep going when motivation runs dry? Create non-negotiable routines. A successful day starts before you get out of bed. Your routine sets the tone for the day. It's simple. Create habits that you follow every day, no matter what. Whether it's waking up at the same time, exercising in the morning, or writing your goals every day, routines create structure and eliminate decision fatigue. The more structured your day, the easier it is to stick to your discipline. Make small, incremental progress. Discipline is built by doing small things consistently over time. It's about taking one step forward every day. You don't need to achieve everything today, but you do need to take consistent action. Whether it's reading for 10 minutes a day or writing one page of your book, every small step builds discipline. Focus on your why. When motivation fades, remember why you're doing this. Why did you start in the first place? Your why is the fuel that keeps your discipline going. When the going gets tough, your purpose will drive you forward. Anchor your actions to a higher purpose, something that goes beyond just completing a task. When you're working with purpose, discipline becomes easier to maintain. Set clear, specific goals. When you have clear goals, it's easier to stay disciplined. Discipline thrives when you know exactly what you need to do. Vague goals lead to vague actions. Specific goals lead to specific actions. Break your larger goals into smaller, actionable steps and keep track of your progress. This will fuel your discipline. Embrace the power of no. Discipline is about saying no to distractions. You have to say no to things that don't align with your goals. This is where the real work happens. If you want to stay disciplined, you need to learn how to eliminate distractions. That means no more checking your phone every 5 minutes. No more wasting time on social media. Cut out the things that pull you away from your focus. Every time you say no, you're strengthening your discipline. That's the key. The more you practice discipline, the more it becomes a part of who you are. It becomes a habit, a way of life. The long-term benefits of discipline might not feel exciting in the moment, but the results speak for themselves. Over time, discipline compounds. Small daily actions turn into massive results. The person you become through discipline is unstoppable. You will build resilience. You will develop a mindset that doesn't quit. And most importantly, you will achieve the success you desire. Take a moment and think about someone who's achieved greatness. Whether it's an athlete, an entrepreneur, or a leader, they didn't get there by relying on motivation. They got there through discipline. They made a choice. They showed up day after day. They committed to doing the hard work when no one was watching. That's the key. Discipline doesn't care about how you feel. It cares about results, and it will get you results every single time. Chapter 3. How to train your mind for relentless. Focus is a skill, not a gift. It's not something you're born with. You're not just lucky if you can concentrate. It's something you develop, something you earn through consistent effort and training. Like any muscle, your mind needs to be worked. You need to exercise it to make it stronger. If you want to achieve your goals, if you want to perform at a level that separates you from the average, then you need to train your mind. And that means practicing focus every single day. Focus isn't an accident. It's the result of purposeful mental training. Mental training is non-negotiable. Too many people believe that focus is something you either have or you don't. That's a lie. Focus is like any other skill. It's something you can improve. And that's the best news you'll hear today because it means you have control. You don't have to sit around waiting for focus to show up. You don't have to wait for the perfect moment to feel focused. Focus is a habit. It's something you build through intentional practice. That's the key. If you're not training your mind, you're letting it drift. You're letting it become weak. Every day you don't practice focus is a day you're falling behind. But when you train your mind to focus, you give yourself an edge over everyone else who is waiting for motivation, waiting for the perfect moment, or waiting for their mind to just click. Focus doesn't just appear, it is earned through training. The power of daily focus exercises. Now let's get into how to train your mind for focus. It's not complicated, but it does require consistency. Start with these simple exercises, and gradually you'll see your focus grow stronger. Just like any athlete must train their body every day, you need to train your mind every day to build your focus. The Pomodoro Technique. This is one of the simplest and most effective methods for training your focus. It's easy to start and incredibly powerful. Here's how it works. Work for 25 minutes without any distractions. Focus on one task. After 25 minutes, in 25 minutes, take a 5-minute break. Get up, stretch, walk around, but do not engage in any other work. Repeat this cycle 4 times, then take a longer break, 15 to 30 minutes. This method trains your brain to focus intensely for short bursts. It helps build concentration and trains you to block out distractions. Over time, you'll find that your focus can extend beyond just 25 minutes. You'll have trained your brain to become more powerful and more disciplined. That's the key. Train your focus by setting specific intervals and allowing your brain to fully engage, then reward it with a break. This cycle keeps your mind sharp and builds mental endurance. Mindfulness meditation. Meditation isn't just about relaxation. It's about training your mind. Mindfulness meditation is particularly useful for building focus because it trains you to be aware of your thoughts and gently bring your attention back to the present when distractions arise. Start with just 5 minutes a day. Sit in a quiet space, focus on your breathing, and notice the thoughts that come to your mind. Don't judge them, just observe them. When your mind starts to wander, gently bring your attention back to your breath. Over time, this practice will teach you to control your thoughts and bring your attention back to what's important. Just like you'll need to do in your daily life when distractions try to pull you away from your tasks. That's the key. Meditation trains your mind to stay present and focused, even in the face of distractions. The Focus Drill. 1-minute deep dive. Find a task that you can complete in 1 minute. It could be writing a sentence, solving a problem, reading a page, or completing a quick action that requires full attention. For the next minute, do nothing but focus on that task. Don't check your phone. Don't glance at the clock. Don't let your mind wander. Simply focus for 1 minute. If you're successful, add another minute. Over time, you'll be able to extend this concentration time, and your brain will start to learn the power of sustained focus. That's the key. Building your focus starts with small increments. Start small and build your ability to concentrate for longer periods of time. Visualization. Visualize yourself in intense focus. Picture yourself working on a task, undistracted, fully immersed in what you're doing. The more you visualize yourself successfully focusing, the more your brain will accept that as your default state. Before you dive into any task, take a few minutes to close your eyes and imagine yourself completely focused, pushing aside every distraction, fully immersed in the task at hand. This prepares your mind to execute with focus, and it shifts your mindset from "I hope I can focus" to "I am focused." That's the key. Visualization primes your brain for success by reinforcing your focus and eliminating mental barriers. Focus is a muscle. The more you train, the stronger it gets. The key to developing relentless focus isn't about forcing yourself to concentrate. It's about training your brain to focus on command. The more you train your mind, the better it gets at staying sharp, at staying on track, and at performing at a high level when it matters most. Think of your mind like a muscle. The more you work it, the stronger it gets. Just like lifting weights builds muscle over time, practicing focus builds your mental endurance. It might be hard at first, it might feel uncomfortable, but every day you train your mind to focus, you're building mental toughness that will serve you for the rest of your life. That's the key. Focus is a skill that gets better every time you practice it. The more you practice, the stronger your mind becomes, and the more unstoppable you become. How to stay consistent with focus. Training consistency is everything when it comes to training your mind. You can't expect to get strong after one workout, and you can't expect to master focus after one session. Like anything, the more consistent you are, the better the results. Here's how to stay on track. Start with small daily habits like the Pomodoro technique and meditation. Track your progress. Keep a journal to track how long you can focus each day. Set clear, achievable goals for your focus training. It could be a goal to increase your Pomodoro sessions to an hour or to meditate for 15 minutes instead of 5. The more consistent you are, the more automatic focus will become. Eventually, you won't need to work on focusing anymore. Your brain will just do it. That's the key. Consistency transforms focus from a challenge into a natural skill. Chapter 4. Stop seeking validation. Focus on your progress, not approval. Let me ask you something. How many times have you checked your phone to see if someone liked your post? How many times have you glanced at the number of views on your video or waited for a comment that tells you you're doing a good job? How many times have you felt a little empty inside when that validation didn't come? You've been conditioned to seek approval. From teachers, from parents, from friends, from the world. We live in a society where external validation is everywhere. It's easy to fall into the trap of needing someone else's thumbs up, a pat on the back, or a kind word to keep going. But here's the hard truth. You don't need validation. In fact, seeking validation is the number one thing that's holding you back from real success and real focus. It's time to break free from the approval trap and start focusing on your progress, not someone else's acknowledgement of your work. Validation is a distraction. Validation feels good, doesn't it? It gives you a temporary boost of confidence. It makes you feel seen. It makes you feel like you matter. But here's the thing. Validation is not the thing that will get you where you want to go. Validation doesn't move you forward. It just keeps you stuck, constantly looking for someone to tell you that you're doing the right thing. That's the problem. When you rely on validation, you're constantly at the mercy of other people's opinions. You're waiting for someone to recognize your effort. And the moment you don't get it, you lose motivation. This cycle holds you hostage. It takes your focus away from what matters. The work, the process, the results. The most successful people in the world don't care about validation. They don't need applause to keep going. They keep working, even when no one is watching. They don't seek approval. They focus on their journey, on their progress, and on the impact they are making. That's the key. You don't need someone else's validation. You need your own. The only approval that matters is the one you give yourself when you see the progress you're making. How to stop seeking validation. Let's talk about how you break free from this need for validation. You're going to have to make a conscious decision to stop looking outside of yourself for confirmation. You need to redefine success. You need to understand that the only validation you need comes from within. Focus on your progress, not others' opinions. Stop measuring your success by the likes, the shares, the comments. Success is not defined by how many people approve of you. Success is defined by your own progress. Did you move one step closer to your goal today? Did you push through that moment of discomfort and keep going? That's what matters. Start measuring your success by your own standards. Are you improving? Are you consistent? Are you growing? That's the validation you need. Forget the applause. Focus on your results. That's the key. Validation comes when you look back at your progress and realize how far you've come. The only like that matters is the one you give yourself. Celebrate small wins, not external praise. When you reach a milestone, don't wait for someone else to recognize it. Celebrate it yourself. Acknowledge your own hard work. Celebrate the fact that you kept going even when no one was watching, even when you felt discouraged. Recognize that every small step forward is progress, and that's worth celebrating. The truth is, the journey to success is often long and thankless. No one is going to be there cheering you on every day. It's up to you to find joy in your own progress. When you do, you'll find that validation becomes irrelevant. That's the key. Success isn't about recognition from others. It's about recognizing the effort you put in and appreciating your own growth. Shift your mindset. It's about the work, not the outcome. A lot of people focus on the end result. They want the finish line. They want the applause. But the truth is, the end result isn't what matters most. What matters is the process, the work, the grind. It's easy to be distracted by the need for praise, but real success happens in the trenches. The moments when no one is watching and you're still doing the work. Shift your mindset. Start focusing on the work itself. Get obsessed with the process. If you can fall in love with the journey, if you can fall in love with your daily grind, then the need for external validation disappears. That's the key. When you focus on the work, you stop worrying about the outcome. You stop waiting for the applause. And in doing so, you make the kind of progress that no one can ignore. Stop seeking permission to pursue your goals. How many times have you found yourself asking for approval before taking action? Do you think this is a good idea? Should I do this? Is this the right move? Here's a hard truth. You don't need anyone's permission. Not from your family, not from your friends, not from anyone. Success doesn't require approval. It doesn't require a green light from someone else. You have a choice. You decide whether you're going to take action, whether you're going to show up every day and work, no matter what. You don't need their permission. You just need to start. That's the key. Give yourself permission to go after what you want. Stop waiting for someone to tell you it's okay. Make the decision and take action. How validation hurts your focus. Now that we've established why seeking validation is dangerous, let's explore how it directly affects your focus. Every time you look for approval, you're distracting yourself from your goal. You're not focused on the task at hand. You're looking for confirmation. It pulls you out of the present moment and forces you to evaluate what others think about you. You lose focus on the work. You become more obsessed with the opinions of others than your own progress. That's the problem. You're pulling your attention away from what matters most: the work, the growth, the results, and focusing on things that don't help you move forward. Seeking validation kills your momentum. It saps your energy. It pulls you in every direction but forward. Chapter 5. Eliminating the distractions that kill your momentum. Distractions are the silent killers of focus. They creep in slowly, often disguised as innocent tasks, and before you know it, hours have slipped away. You don't even realize it until you look back and wonder where all the time went. But the truth is, distractions don't just steal your time, they steal your potential. They keep you from reaching your goals, from achieving greatness, from being the person you were meant to be. And the worst part is that they're completely under your control. But here's the good news. You have the power to eliminate distractions. You don't need to wait for the distractions to go away on their own. You can actively take control and remove them. And once you do, your momentum will skyrocket. Focus will become second nature, and success will be within your grasp. The silent cost of distractions aren't just time wasters, they're momentum killers. Every time you give in to a distraction, you lose your flow. You lose the rhythm of your work. The longer you stay distracted, the harder it is to get back on track. Studies show that it can take up to 23 minutes to regain focus after an interruption. Think about that. Every time you pick up your phone to check a notification, every time you take a break to clear your mind, you're losing valuable time and energy that you could have spent advancing toward your goals. That's the problem. Distractions pull you out of the moment. They break your concentration, and when you break your concentration, you break your momentum. Every time your focus is interrupted, it takes twice as long to regain that flow state. The more you give in to distractions, the harder it becomes to get back on track. That's the key. Eliminating distractions isn't about working harder. It's about working smarter. It's about protecting your focus and using your time more efficiently. You can't afford to let distractions take over your day. You need to take control. And that starts with identifying and eliminating those distractions before they rob you of your productivity. Types of distractions. You need to eliminate. There are several distractions that are sabotaging your focus, and you need to get rid of them, one by one. Digital distractions. Your phone is one of the biggest sources of distraction. Social media, text messages, notifications. Every ping is a little tug on your attention, pulling you away from your goals. And let's be honest, once you check that text or look at that notification, it's hard to resist scrolling just a little longer. Before you know it, 20 minutes have passed. That's the problem. These digital distractions steal more than just time. They steal your ability to concentrate and focus. They create a constant sense of urgency, even when nothing urgent is happening. You feel compelled to check your phone, and that takes you away from the task at hand. That's the key. You need to set boundaries with your phone. Turn off non-essential notifications. Set your phone to Do Not Disturb while you're working. Make a rule. When you're focused, your phone is off limits. Use apps or features that block distracting websites and social media during your work hours. Internal distractions. Your mind is another huge source of distraction. Your internal chatter, worries, and the constant flow of thoughts can derail your focus in seconds. You might start working on a project and then suddenly find yourself thinking about a conversation you had earlier or stressing about something you need to do later. The next thing you know, you've lost 20 minutes to mental distractions. That's the problem. These internal distractions can be just as harmful as external ones. Your mind is constantly pulling your attention in different directions, and without the right tools, it's easy to get caught up in that mental noise. That's the key. Mindfulness techniques and mental training exercises are your best weapons against internal distractions. Meditation can help quiet the mind and teach you to focus on the present moment. When you catch yourself drifting away from the task, gently bring your attention back to what you're doing. Train yourself to recognize when your mind is wandering and redirect it to the task at hand. Environmental distractions. Sometimes distractions come from your surroundings. Noisy coworkers, a cluttered workspace, or even just being in the wrong place at the wrong time can all disrupt your focus. If you're working from home, distractions could be even more pervasive. Children, pets, or household tasks constantly pull at your attention. That's the problem. Your environment can either support your focus or destroy it. If you're working in an environment that's chaotic or noisy, you're constantly fighting against the pull of distractions. And fighting distractions all day long is exhausting. It drains your energy and kills your momentum. That's the key. Create a workspace that supports your focus. This could mean setting up a designated office space, cleaning your desk, or investing in noise-canceling headphones. Make your environment conducive to work. If you're constantly fighting against distractions, you'll never be able to focus at your highest level. People and social distractions. People in your life can be a source of distraction, whether it's a friend stopping by for a chat, a colleague interrupting you with a question, or a family member asking for your attention. These interruptions, while often well-intentioned, can take you out of your productive zone and make it hard to get back on track. That's the problem. People who don't respect your focus can drain your energy and time. If you're constantly being pulled in different directions by other people, your progress will stall. That's the key. Set clear boundaries with people. Let them know when you're working and when you're available. You don't have to be rude, but you do need to protect your time. If necessary, block out your calendar or set specific work hours where you're off limits to distractions. Teach people how to respect your focus. How to eliminate distractions for good. Now that we've identified the distractions, let's talk about how to eliminate them for good. Use the power of time. Blocking is the ultimate productivity hack. It's about setting aside specific blocks of time to work on specific tasks and eliminating distractions during those blocks. Schedule your workday so that each task gets its own time slot. During that time, protect your focus like it's gold. No distractions, no exceptions. That's the key. When you block your time, you create a fortress around your focus. You don't have to constantly switch between tasks, and you don't have to waste time figuring out what to do next. The decision has already been made. You simply implement a distraction-free zone. Create a physical and mental space that's completely free from distractions. This means having a dedicated workspace that's clean and organized and eliminating everything that doesn't serve your current task. It also means mentally committing to being present, not letting your mind wander or jump from one thing to the next. That's the key. A distraction-free zone allows you to operate at peak productivity. It's like hitting the reset button for your focus every time you enter that space. Learn the art of saying no. You're going to need to say no to distractions. Say no to people who want your time. Say no to tasks that don't align with your goals. Say no to things that steal your energy without giving anything back. Saying no is an essential part of protecting your focus. That's the key. Every time you say no to something that's not important, you're saying yes to your goals. And that's how you keep your momentum going. Chapter 6. The mental toughness of saying no to everything that doesn't matter. We all have one thing in common: distractions. These distractions come in many forms, but one thing is for sure: they will always pull you away from your goals. They come disguised as requests from others, new opportunities, and even internal thoughts and impulses. Every yes you say to something unimportant is a no to your goals, your focus, and your future. The most successful people in the world have one thing in common: they've mastered the power of saying no. They say no to things that don't align with their mission, their values, and their focus. They don't waste time on distractions. They protect their energy and attention like they would protect their most prized possession. And if you want to be truly successful, you must do the same. The power of no. At some point, you need to realize that your time and energy are finite. Every minute you spend on something that doesn't serve your purpose is a minute you'll never get back. Your time is your most precious asset. And if you want to use that time effectively, you must learn to say no to anything that doesn't help you move closer to your goals. Saying no doesn't just protect your time, it strengthens your focus. Every time you decline something, you're making a choice to prioritize your mission over temporary distractions. You're teaching your brain that it's okay to ignore everything else and focus on what truly matters. But here's the thing: saying no is not easy. It feels uncomfortable. It makes you feel like you're missing out. You worry about disappointing people. You worry about what others might think of you. But here's the hard truth: you will never achieve greatness if you keep saying yes to everything that pulls you in a different direction. You must develop the mental toughness to prioritize your own goals above everything else. That's the key. Saying no is a skill. It's an act of discipline, and it's the foundation of focus and success. Why saying no is hard. Saying no is uncomfortable because it challenges your need for approval. We live in a culture that glorifies people-pleasing and being nice. We're conditioned to say yes to others in an attempt to gain their approval, their friendship, or their validation. The truth is, we fear rejection. We fear what others might think if we decline their request. We fear missing out. And this fear keeps us stuck in a cycle of distractions, obligations, and endless tasks that don't move us forward. That's the problem. You're afraid of saying no because you don't want to disappoint others. You don't want to seem rude. You don't want to lose out on opportunities, even if those opportunities don't align with your goals. But the reality is, saying yes to everything means saying no to your dreams. Saying yes to everything means scattering your energy and focus. And that's how you end up overwhelmed, burned out, and stuck in a never-ending loop of busyness that leads nowhere. That's the key. The key to focus and success is not about being busy, it's about being intentional. And intentionality means saying no to anything that doesn't serve your purpose. How to develop the mental toughness to say no. Developing the mental toughness to say no takes practice. It requires a mindset shift from being reactive to being proactive. You need to prioritize your goals and your values and align your decisions with what truly matters. Here's how to build the mental toughness to say no with confidence. Get clear on your priorities. If you don't know what matters most to you, how can you say no to anything? You need to get crystal clear on your goals, your values, and your purpose. This clarity will serve as your foundation. It will help you make decisions quickly and confidently. When you know what you want, saying no becomes much easier because you can instantly evaluate whether something is worth your time. That's the key. When you know your priorities, everything else falls into place. You'll be able to say no without hesitation because you know it's the best decision for your future. Learn to set boundaries. Boundaries are a sign of self-respect. They protect your energy and your focus. If you allow others to constantly interrupt you or demand your time, you're showing them that their needs are more important than yours. But when you set boundaries, you're teaching people to respect your time. You're showing them that your time is valuable and that you won't tolerate distractions. That's the key. Boundaries aren't just about protecting your time. They're about respecting yourself. The more you enforce your boundaries, the more others will respect them too. And the more respect you have for your own time, the more productive you will become. Say no with grace. You don't have to be rude when you say no. You can decline politely and with confidence. Remember, saying no doesn't mean you're rejecting the person. You're simply rejecting the request because it doesn't align with your priorities. You can say something like, "I'd love to help, but I'm currently focused on my project, my goals. And I can't take that on right now." You don't owe anyone an explanation, but a simple, clear response will help you avoid feeling guilty. That's the key. You don't need to justify your no. You simply need to be confident in your decision and respect your own time. Practice the 10-minute rule. The 10-minute rule is simple. When you're presented with an opportunity or a request, take 10 minutes to evaluate whether it's worth your time. Ask yourself, does this align with my goals? Does this help me move closer to where I want to be? Is this task important, or is it just a distraction? If the answer is no, then you can confidently say no without hesitation. This rule forces you to pause and evaluate your decisions instead of automatically reacting. That's the key. The 10-minute rule helps you make decisions more consciously and avoid the knee-jerk response of saying yes out of habit. Practice saying no in small ways. Start small. If saying no feels uncomfortable, practice it in small ways. Decline an invitation to a social event you don't want to attend. Say no to a task that isn't a priority. By practicing in small ways, you'll build your confidence and make it easier to say no to bigger distractions when they come along. That's the key. The more you practice, the more comfortable you'll become with saying no. And the more you say no, the more your focus and productivity will increase. How saying no improves your focus. The more you say no to distractions, the more room you create for your goals. Saying no clears mental space. It eliminates tasks and obligations that drain your energy, and it allows you to focus on what truly matters. Each time you say no, you're reaffirming your commitment to your goals and your purpose. By saying no, you stop wasting energy on unimportant things and start using that energy to fuel your focus. And when your focus is sharp, your progress is unstoppable. That's the key. Saying no isn't about rejection, it's about prioritization. It's about giving yourself permission to focus on what matters and freeing yourself from anything that holds you back. Chapter 7. The Power of Small Wins. Building Focus with Consistent Action. You've probably heard the phrase, "Success is a journey, not a destination." But what does that really mean? Success isn't something that happens overnight. It's not the big, dramatic moments that define your path. It's the small, consistent wins that add up over time. Every time you take a step forward, no matter how small, you're building momentum. Every time you follow through on a task, even the simplest one, you're strengthening your focus and moving closer to your goals. But here's the truth. Most people wait for the big win, the moment when everything falls into place. They think they'll feel successful once they hit that big milestone. And in doing so, they miss the power of the small wins. Success doesn't come from one huge action. It comes from consistent small victories that build on each other over time. And it's these small wins that will give you the focus and momentum to reach your biggest goals. The compound effect of small wins. Here's something powerful you need to understand. Small wins compound. Each small success, no matter how insignificant it may seem, has a ripple effect that drives your progress forward. These small wins build confidence, create positive momentum, and reinforce the discipline that keeps you moving. Think of it like this. You're building a mountain, one stone at a time. Each small action you take, each step forward, adds another stone to that mountain. It may seem like a slow process, but over time, those small wins create something massive, something solid. Without those stones, the mountain wouldn't exist. That's the key. Small wins are what give you the power to keep going. They give you the fuel to tackle the bigger challenges ahead. And over time, they create massive, unstoppable momentum. When you start focusing on small wins, you stop obsessing over the end result. You stop waiting for everything to fall into place. Instead, you embrace the process, and you start stacking up those wins one by one. Eventually, you look back and realize how far you've come, and it's all because you committed to consistent action. Why small wins matter more than big goals most. People fail to reach their big goals because they're too focused on the outcome. They set lofty, ambitious targets and expect instant results. When they don't see immediate success, they get discouraged. They feel like they're failing. But here's the reality. Big goals are made up of small steps. If you don't learn to celebrate and build on the small wins, you'll never make it to the big ones. That's the problem. When you focus too much on the end goal, you lose sight of the journey. You forget that every small win is a victory in itself, and this focus on the big win can paralyze you, making the goal feel impossible to reach. That's the key. The key to reaching your big goals is to break them down into small, manageable tasks. Each small task you complete is a win, and that win brings you closer to the bigger picture. Don't wait for the end result to celebrate. Celebrate each step you take, because those steps are what will carry you forward. Building momentum with small wins. Now, let's talk about momentum. Momentum is one of the most powerful forces in life. Once you have it, things start to fall into place. You start achieving more, and it feels effortless. But momentum doesn't just appear out of nowhere. It's built through consistent action, through small wins. Here's how small wins help you build momentum. They build confidence. Every time you complete a task, you prove to yourself that you can follow through. This boosts your confidence, making it easier to take on the next challenge. Small wins create a positive feedback loop. The more wins you rack up, the more confident you become. And confidence fuels further action. That's the key. Confidence doesn't come from wishing or waiting for success. It comes from taking consistent, focused action, no matter how small the task. They keep you moving forward. Small wins create a sense of progress. When you feel like you're moving forward, it keeps you motivated. It keeps you going. If you're always waiting for that big, life-changing victory, you might quit before you get there. But if you focus on the small wins, you can maintain your momentum, even on the tough days. That's the key. The more you focus on progress, no matter how small, the more motivated you'll feel to keep going. Small wins lead to big victories. They provide a sense of accomplishment. When you're working toward a big goal, it's easy to feel like you're not making any progress. The end result seems so far away. But small wins give you a constant sense of accomplishment. Each completed task, each step forward, reinforces the idea that you're on the right track. This sense of progress is essential to building a winning mindset. That's the key. Success doesn't always feel like a big, dramatic event. Sometimes, it's a quiet sense of satisfaction that comes from knowing you're moving in the right direction. Small wins keep you grounded and focused on the journey. How to create small wins. Every day, creating small wins isn't complicated. It just requires intentionality. Here's how you can start building small wins into your daily routine. Break down your goals. Take your big goals and break them down into smaller, actionable steps. For example, if your goal is to write a book, break it down into writing 1 chapter a week, then 1 page a day. If your goal is to get fit, start by committing to 20 minutes of exercise every day. The smaller you make your goals, the more achievable they become. That's the key. By breaking big goals into small tasks, you'll create daily opportunities for success. Every completed task is a win, and those wins add up over time. Celebrate every win. No win is too small to celebrate. Whether it's crossing something off your to-do list, completing a workout, or finishing a chapter of a book, celebrate it. This reinforces the habit of success and keeps you motivated. That's the key. When you celebrate each small win, you reinforce the habit of focusing on progress. You start to associate success with small, consistent actions, and that keeps you moving forward. Stay consistent. The key to building momentum with small wins is consistency. It's not about working hard for one day and then quitting. It's about showing up every single day, no matter how small the action. Consistency is what turns small wins into unstoppable momentum. That's the key. Success doesn't come from bursts of effort. It comes from consistent, daily action. Focus on showing up every day, and the small wins will follow. The ripple effect of small wins. The best part about small wins is that they don't just add up, they multiply. The more consistent you are, the faster you build momentum. Small wins lead to bigger wins, and eventually, those wins turn into massive success. You can't always see the full impact of your actions in the moment, but over time, those small wins will create a snowball effect. Each win builds on the last. And before you know it, you've created a momentum so strong that you're achieving things you never thought possible. That's the key. The power of small wins is that they create a ripple effect. Every small win propels you forward, and each step brings you closer to achieving your biggest goals. Chapter 8. Fear is your biggest distraction. How to overcome it. Fear is the invisible force that holds you back. It's the voice in your head telling you you're not good enough, smart enough, or strong enough to succeed. It's the feeling of hesitation that strikes when you're about to take a leap towards something bigger. Fear doesn't just hold you in place. It makes you question your decisions, second-guess your actions, and ultimately, it convinces you to stay small. But here's the cold, hard truth. Fear is the ultimate distraction. It's not a legitimate reason to stop. It's not an obstacle that's real or permanent. It's just an emotion. And the sooner you recognize fear for what it is, the sooner you'll be able to break free from its grip. Fear is powerful, but it's only as powerful as you allow it to be. If you let fear dictate your decisions, it will run your life. But if you learn to face fear head-on and keep moving despite it, fear loses its power. And that's the key to maintaining focus, staying on track, and achieving your goals. The paralyzing power of fear. Let's take a moment to truly understand fear. Fear doesn't just make you nervous, it paralyzes you. It stops you from taking action. It holds you back from making decisions. It keeps you trapped in a loop of indecision, which causes inaction. Fear lies to you, telling you that something bad will happen if you take the next step, that it's safer to stay where you are. That's the problem. When you let fear control you, you don't make progress. You hesitate. You doubt. You wait for the perfect moment that will never come. Fear tells you that failure is the end of the road, and it makes you afraid of even trying. This is the cycle that keeps you stuck. That's the key. You need to realize that fear is just an emotion. It's not a reflection of your ability. It's not a reflection of your worth. Fear doesn't define you. It's simply something you feel. And the most successful people are the ones who feel fear but continue to push forward regardless. How fear manifests in your life. Fear doesn't always look like panic or terror. It can take many forms. Here are some of the most common ways fear shows up in your life. Procrastination. You're not lazy. You're not unmotivated. You're afraid. You're afraid of failure. You're afraid of not being good enough. And so, instead of taking action, you put things off. You procrastinate. You delay. But the truth is, procrastination is just a form of fear avoidance. It's your brain's way of avoiding the discomfort of fear. That's the problem. Procrastination doesn't help you avoid fear. It only allows it to grow stronger. When you procrastinate, you allow fear to dictate your actions, which makes it harder to break free from that cycle. That's the key. The antidote to procrastination is action. When you take action despite your fear, you begin to break the grip it has on you. Fear can only control you if you let it stop you from acting. Perfectionism. Fear often masquerades as perfectionism. You think that if you just do everything perfectly, then you'll be safe. You think that by avoiding mistakes, you'll avoid failure. But here's the truth. Perfectionism is fear's disguise. You're not afraid of making a mistake. You're afraid of being judged, of looking foolish, or of not being good enough. That's the problem. Perfectionism keeps you from taking risks, from trying new things, and from putting your work out into the world. It's a shield you hide behind to avoid the vulnerability of failure. But in doing so, you never truly grow or improve. That's the key. Progress doesn't come from perfection. It comes from iteration, from trying, failing, and trying again. The moment you embrace imperfection, you release fear's control over you and allow yourself to move forward. Self-doubt. Self-doubt is another form of fear. It makes you question your ability to succeed, your talent, your worth. It makes you think you don't deserve success, or that you're not capable of achieving your goals. Self-doubt makes you feel like an imposter in your own life. That's the problem. Self-doubt tells you that you can't. It whispers to you that you're not enough, that you'll never succeed. But self-doubt isn't the truth. It's just fear trying to stop you. That's the key. The key to overcoming self-doubt is taking action despite it. Don't wait until you feel confident. Don't wait until you feel like you're ready. Take the next step, even if you don't feel like you have all the answers. Action builds confidence. The more you take action, the less room there is for self-doubt. Facing your fear. A strategic approach. Now that you understand how fear manifests in your life, it's time to learn how to face it head-on. Fear can feel overwhelming, but when you break it down and face it directly, it loses its power. Here's how you can start taking control over fear. Acknowledge the fear. The first step in overcoming fear is acknowledging it. Don't try to push it away or pretend it doesn't exist. Fear is natural. It's a part of being human. When you recognize fear for what it is, you can begin to detach from it. Fear doesn't control you unless you let it. That's the key. When you acknowledge fear, you disarm it. You stop letting it dictate your actions, and you start choosing how to respond to it. Break fear down into smaller pieces. Fear often feels overwhelming because it's abstract. It's a big looming presence that seems insurmountable. But fear is only as powerful as you allow it to be. Break down your fear into smaller, more manageable pieces. What specifically are you afraid of? What's the worst-case scenario? What's the most likely outcome? When you put fear into perspective, it becomes easier to handle. That's the key. The more you break fear down, the less overwhelming it becomes. You realize that the worst-case scenario isn't as bad as your mind has made it out to be. Take to action anyway. Fear thrives when you stay still. The best way to kill fear is by taking action despite it. Start small. Take one small step toward your goal, even if it feels uncomfortable. The more action you take, the more you'll realize that fear has no power over you. That's the key. Action is the antidote to fear. The more you act, the less control fear has over you. Visualize success. Visualization is a powerful tool for overcoming fear. Picture yourself succeeding. See yourself taking that first step, making the phone call, or completing the task you're avoiding. Visualizing success helps reframe fear into something manageable. It makes the action seem less daunting and more achievable. That's the key. When you visualize success, you make the feared task feel familiar. You reduce the anxiety around it, making it easier to take action. Fear is just a feeling, not a fact. Remember, fear is just a feeling. It's not a fact. It doesn't control your reality unless you let it. The key to success is to recognize that fear is part of the process. It's not something to avoid. It's something to embrace and overcome. That's the key. When you start viewing fear as a natural part of growth and not something that stops you, you unlock the power to move forward. Fear doesn't have to stop you. You have the power to keep going in spite of it. Chapter 9. Resilience and Focus. How to stay on track. When life throws curveballs. Life is unpredictable. One moment, you're cruising along, and the next, you're faced with an unexpected setback, a personal crisis, or an obstacle that feels insurmountable. But here's the truth. Resilience is the ability to stay on track when things go wrong. It's the mental toughness that keeps you moving forward even when life throws its worst at you. It's the ability to keep your focus locked on your goals, even in the face of adversity. If you want to achieve anything in life, you need resilience. You need to build the mental strength to keep going, even when things don't go according to plan. And you need to develop the kind of focus that can weather any storm. What is resilience, and why is it essential? Resilience is often misunderstood. It's not about never feeling pain or never facing challenges. It's about how you respond to them. It's about getting back up after you've been knocked down. Resilience is about bouncing back and moving forward with even more determination than before. But here's the kicker. Resilience isn't something you're born with. It's built over time. Every time you face a challenge and choose to keep going, you strengthen your resilience. Every time you push through hardship and keep your eyes on the prize, you develop the mental toughness you need to succeed. That's the key. Resilience is built through repetition. It's built by pushing through adversity, staying focused on your goals, and refusing to let setbacks derail your progress. How to build resilience. Building resilience isn't an overnight process. It takes practice. It takes intentional effort. And it takes a mindset shift. You have to choose resilience every day, even when it feels hard. Here's how you can start. Embrace the struggle. Many people see challenges as signs that they're doing something wrong. They see adversity as something to avoid, something that's in their way. But the most successful people see struggle as an opportunity. Struggles are not obstacles. They are opportunities for growth. Every time you face adversity, you have the chance to become stronger, more capable, and more focused. That's the problem. Too many people try to avoid struggle. They shy away from challenges, believing that smooth sailing equals success. But without the storms, you don't grow. You don't build resilience. You don't build focus. That's the key. Instead of avoiding struggles, embrace them. When you face adversity, look for the lessons in it. What can you learn from this challenge? How can you use this experience to build the mental toughness that will carry you through future obstacles? Reframe. Setbacks as learning opportunities. A setback isn't a failure. It's simply a lesson. Every setback is an opportunity to learn, to adapt, and to grow. If you treat every failure as a lesson, you're not just building resilience. You're building the ability to learn from your mistakes and come out stronger. You learn how to pivot. You learn what works and what doesn't. You learn how to adjust and keep moving forward. That's the problem. Most people see setbacks as signs they're not cut out for success. They feel defeated, discouraged, and ready to quit. But this mindset keeps them stuck. They see challenges as roadblocks, not stepping stones. That's the key. Instead of seeing setbacks as failures, reframe them as learning opportunities. Ask yourself, what can I take from this experience? What can I do better next time? By doing this, you transform every challenge into a step forward. Stay committed to your long-term vision. When things go wrong, it's easy to get caught up in the immediate pain, the frustration, or the feeling of being stuck. But resilience comes from keeping your eyes on the long-term vision. Stay committed to your purpose. Don't get distracted by temporary setbacks. Your goals are bigger than the obstacles you're facing today. Keep moving forward, one step at a time, with your eyes fixed on the bigger picture. That's the problem. People often get derailed when they encounter obstacles. They lose sight of their long-term vision and get bogged down in the immediate issues. They give up, thinking that the struggle is a sign they're on the wrong path. That's the key. Stay committed to your goals, no matter how tough things get. Focus on the bigger picture and remind yourself that this too shall pass. Every setback is temporary, but the skills and resilience you build in the process will last forever. Focus on what you can control. When life throws you a curveball, it's easy to feel helpless. You might focus on everything that's outside of your control, the things that went wrong, the people who let you down, or the circumstances that have shifted. But focusing on things outside your control only drains your energy. Instead, focus on what you can control. What can you do right now to move forward? What action can you take, even if it's a small one? There's always something you can control, and focusing on that helps you regain a sense of power and direction. That's the problem. Too many people focus on what's outside their control, the things they can't change, and end up wasting energy on worry and frustration. This distracts them from the actions they can take, which keeps them stuck. That's the key. When you focus on what you can control, you regain power over the situation. You take action, even in the face of uncertainty, and that's what keeps you moving forward. Practice self-compassion. Building resilience isn't about being tough all the time. It's about knowing when to show yourself compassion. You are not a machine. You will face setbacks. You will experience failures. And you will have moments when you feel down. The key is to treat yourself with kindness during these times. Don't beat yourself up. Don't criticize yourself for struggling. Show yourself the same compassion that you would show a friend. That's the problem. When people face challenges, they often treat themselves harshly. They feel like they should always be strong, always be perfect, But this mindset only increases stress and self-doubt. That's the key. Practice self-compassion. Acknowledge your struggles without judgment. Be kind to yourself when things don't go as planned. You'll find that your resilience strengthens when you give yourself the grace to be human. The role of focus in resilience focus is the secret weapon that allows you to build resilience. When you stay focused on your goals, your purpose, and your vision, nothing can shake you. You will encounter obstacles, but they will not derail your progress. Focus helps you stay steady when everything else feels chaotic. It helps you keep your eye on the prize when distractions try to pull you in a different direction. That's the problem. Without focus, you will lose direction. You will drift when things get hard, and it will be easier to quit. That's the key. When you strengthen your focus, resilience becomes a natural byproduct. Focus on what matters, and resilience will follow. Your ability to stay on track, no matter what comes your way, will become your greatest strength. Chapter 10. The Final Push. Turning focus into unstoppable success. This is it, the final push. The moment that separates those who try from those who finish. You've learned how to focus, how to train your mind, how to cut distractions, how to say no, and how to build discipline. But now, it's time to take everything you've learned and turn it into unbreakable momentum. Because success doesn't belong to the talented. It doesn't belong to the lucky. It belongs to the relentless. The ones who stay focused when others quit. The ones who keep pushing when it stops being easy. The ones who keep showing up long after the motivation fades. This is the final push. This is where champions are made. The law of relentless progress. Here's the truth about success. It's not about speed. It's about consistency. The person who keeps going, inch by inch, day by day, will always beat the person who sprints for a week and stops for a month. Every great success story you've ever heard, every millionaire, every athlete, every innovator, they all follow the same law. Relentless progress. They show up even when they don't feel like it. They stay consistent even when no one's watching. They keep improving even when they've already achieved more than most people dream of. That's the key. Relentless progress doesn't care about how you feel today. It only cares about what you do today. When you master focus, discipline, and resilience, you unlock the ability to move forward no matter what. You stop waiting for the right conditions. You stop waiting for approval. You stop waiting for motivation. You simply move forward every single day. Turning focus into momentum, you've already built focus. You've trained your mind to stay sharp, but now you need to transform that focus into momentum, into something that carries you even when your energy runs low. Here's how you do it. Set a clear vision and review it daily. Your vision is your compass. Without it, your focus drifts. Every morning, review your goals. Visualize where you're headed. Let that vision fuel your drive. When you constantly remind yourself of why you're doing what you're doing, your focus never fades. That's the key. Repetition breeds clarity. Clarity breeds purpose. And purpose fuels relentless action. Execute without emotion. Stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting to feel inspired. Emotion is a luxury. Execution is a necessity. When you train yourself to take action regardless of how you feel, you become unstoppable. Discipline replaces motivation. You no longer rely on the highs. You just keep moving through the lows. That's the key. Winners don't operate on emotion. They operate on commitment. Build systems, not bursts. Success is not about effort. It's about structure. Systems remove decision fatigue. Systems make progress automatic. Create a system that forces you to win. Schedule your day, track your habits, and measure your progress. When success becomes routine, you can't lose. That's the key. When you systemize your focus, you eliminate inconsistency. Guard your energy ruthlessly. Momentum dies when your energy drains. Protect your energy like your life depends on it, because your future does. Say no to people, habits, and environments that deplete you. Focus is a form of energy management, and the more energy you conserve for what matters, the faster you'll progress. That's the key. You don't need more time. You need more focused energy. When the road gets tough, you will face resistance. You will face setbacks. That's not the exception. That's the rule. Every time you hit a wall, you have a choice. Stop or climb higher. The wall isn't there to block you. It's there to test you, to see how badly you want it. That's the key. Pain is the proof that you're growing. Resistance is the proof that you're on the right path. When it gets hard, lean in. When you're tired, push a little more. When doubt creeps in, remember, this is where most people quit. And that's exactly why you can't. Because the difference between average and unstoppable is found in this moment. The final push. Focus becomes identity by now. Your focus isn't just a skill, it's who you are. You're no longer the person who gets distracted. You're no longer the person who waits for motivation. You're no longer the person who quits when it's hard. You've become the person who stays locked in, the person who shows up, the person who gets things done. And that's what separates winners from dreamers. That's the key. When focus becomes part of your identity, success becomes inevitable. Your final challenge, you've reached the end of this journey, but the real test begins now. You've learned the principles, now you must live them. You know what it takes. Now you must apply it daily. Here's your challenge. For the next 90 days, commit to one thing. One project, one goal. No distractions. No excuses. No breaks from discipline. Wake up every day with one mission. Progress. Even if it's small. Even if it's hard. Even if no one notices. Because if you do that, if you focus relentlessly for 90 days, your life will change. You'll see what you're truly capable of. You'll understand the power of focus not as a concept, but as a way of life. That's the key. You don't rise to your goals, you fall to your level of focus. Focus is not a trait you're born with. It's a skill you build, a habit you develop, and a mindset you cultivate. The path to success isn't filled with shortcuts. It's paved with deep focus, relentless discipline, and the refusal to quit when the going gets tough. If you've been distracted, sidetracked, or doubted yourself, no more. You have the tools. The power is in your hands. Commit to the process. Block out the noise. Stay locked in on your goals, no matter what. Now go, focus like a warrior and claim your success. The time to act is now. The world is waiting for you.